All right, we should be live in just a moment in theory. So let me give it a second to make sure we're officially live, you know, that kind of thing. No.
Next Signal City.
Are we live? We're not live yet.
It says we're live according to this.
It says waiting. It says waiting, though.
Oh.
It's waiting. It's probably, you know.
Waiting, right? Like W-A-D.
Come on. We should be live, but I don't know if we are. So hello, everybody, if we are. If we're not, I'm sorry.
Don't ever apologize.
You're right. I shouldn't apologize. So we have a person waiting.
You guys haven't started yet, right?
We are live.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just not sure why we're not actually live.
Don't worry, we have star power. It's okay.
Yeah. We have Harry Potter on the podcast. I mean, come
We
on.
do. We have Harry Potter here, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Next week I'll bring in the Harry Potter.
Okay.
What do you mean the Harry Potter?
You'll understand next week.
Okay.
See, are we live on Twitch is the question.
Offline.
Is Restream not working?
Maybe. Or
No, we're online.
You'll understand next. So we're on Twitch, just not YouTube, which means you broke YouTube again.
YouTube's just being poopy.
Hey, none of that. You're thinking you're not first.
Don't eat that.
I hate you.
Today we're gonna talk.
Don't. No.
We need to have a math podcast.
What is going on with it?
Math is part of technology.
Yeah.
I have no clue what's going on right now.
It's
Cool.
in fact-
We broke YouTube apparently.
It's in fact.
Apparently, YouTube is just absolutely hates us just that much.
Yeah.
The Twitch is still working.
I don't know. I don't have it open.
Why does YouTube hate us?
Cause
Yeah.
they hate us because they ain't us.
Probably.
Haters gonna hate. Potatoes gonna potate.
I hate you.
It's for the interview.
So we're live on Twitch right now. Like
Yeah.
anybody on Twitch could see us.
So this is fun. Hey Twitch users,
Hi Twitch, even though nobody watches us on Twitch.
and maybe YouTube eventually.
Wait, now it's saying when
No, it's live for me.
is it still live for you? Okay. So it's just Oh.
Can you mute the computer?
Hey, Alex, can you go turn the volume down all the way on the speaker? It's the right dial on the speaker. All right, everybody, hello. We are a little bit late because issues, and we like issues. So anyway, hello, everybody. Welcome to WordCast number 29 here. We hate Intel, fuck Intel. That's kind of the subject here.
Intel's processor division.
Yes, sorry, good point.
I'll take their SSDs.
Good point.
any day.
I'll take their SSDs and their other stuff like that. But anyway, hello everybody again. Welcome to WordCast number 29. We do this every week, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Me and Daniel. Sometimes we'll have a guest or something like that on, but it's just us tonight. Just going over the latest tech news. Don't forget, there's a bunch of links in the description so that you can obviously subscribe to this channel, but see the other channels that we have. See his channel as well. You know,
Don't even worry about subscribing to mine right now.
That's right. I need
Things
to
might be
remove
changing.
yours. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. But you know, and you're welcome to support us on Patreon if you're interested, etc., etc. So anyway, hello everybody, and this is awesome.
Yeah.
So we have some pretty interesting topics to jump into today.
Not a whole lot of big headlines, but a lot of smaller ones that are
and one
just as important.
big
Yeah.
headline, but but mostly just smaller ones. Do you guys like the sound of Pepsi being cracked open?
They're not a sponsor. You're supposed to put tape over it. We discussed this last week.
Okay, everybody. So I clapped.
Okay.
I gotta like spam this to everybody that I know. You know what I'm saying?
Not
Like, hey everybody.
Spam it to your mom and your dad.
Oh my gosh. I gotta do this, and I gotta like spam it so that everybody can see that
He
we're
does
live.
this with anything that he sends, by the way.
No. That is incorrect.
Okay,
That is
sorry.
incorrect.
Most things.
The majority. Why don't you get into one of your topics while I'm doing this then?
One of my topics. Okay.
Yeah, you're like one of your one topics.
Wait, one of my one topics.
Yes.
I literally gave you the entire list.
I don't know what you're talking about, okay? I got the EK Vardar fans in there.
Oh, sorry. You do have one topic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always a mess. Come on, man. Get
We
with the
should change this
picture.
to the mess cast.
The mess cast. Oh, man.
Okay. So I guess we'll talk about an actual
Should I
topic.
text T-Mobile to tell them that,
Yes.
that we're live?
Maybe they'll retweet it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is LG, and specifically some news about displays. They just put out a press release earlier today indicating that their next flagship, which is going to be the LG V30 as far as we know.
Hopefully. I'm excited for this, hoping that it ends up actually being unique like the V has always been.
They had a marketing video for just general LG phone marketing stuff, and it had the V30 in it. And it had They accidentally leaked the V30.
Yeah, it's all hype. But so did it have the slide-up screen? I didn't see this.
No, that's not happening.
Oh, man. I was really looking forward to something, actually cool.
Yeah. Well, so as far as what they did announce so far goes, we have a plastic OLED screen, which for those that don't know is essentially attaching the OLED pixels to a plastic backing. It's designed to just make it better, less damage resistant.
You mean more damage resistant?
Yes. Sorry. Less damage prone.
Yes, that's a better word.
So it's going to have an OLED screen, but more importantly, this new version is going to have HDR10 support, better support for virtual reality devices, which is pretty common in newer screens.
Right.
It's going to use Gorilla Glass 5 for protection over the front.
Uh-huh.
And then it's also going to, and this is kind of...
why is your volume on?
Because. Thank you for letting me know that WordCast is live.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And then it's going to have...
So fuck your topics. We can get into mine now.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
It's going to have 50% smaller bezel on the bottom of the phone and 20% smaller on the top. So overall, a lot less bezel.
Okay.
And then the most important
It sounds to me like it's becoming a... Hey, here's another mainstream phone that's not really special compared to our other one, just like the Note.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad because I feel like the Note is ruining that for other manufacturers where
it's not so much that, it's that less people buy those phones for those features.
They're putting investment into a premium phone like a Note or the V series costs a lot of money. And the V10 and the V20 were both incredibly good phones, but they're also, I'm sure, very expensive to produce and probably not particularly profitable.
Yeah.
So
now there is one extremely important announcement as part of this that really went missed by a lot of journalists. Like, pretty much if you read the press release, it's like the last paragraph, but in almost every article I read, they kind of skipped over this. LG claims to have solved the burn-in issue for OLED.
Which is impressive because that is one of the biggest, if not the biggest issue with OLED.
They said it's done based off of a couple of new underlying technologies. They did say what they are, but I'm not going to go into them in too much detail because I wouldn't understand them and I don't want to explain them in an improper way. But
just wing it, dude. Do what I do.
No.
Talk about display tech even if you don't know much about it. I know a decent amount actually about display tech.
A little bit. When you're talking about like advanced OLED techniques that are brand new and emerging.
Yes, basically.
Yeah. But
those are the only ones that matter. You should understand this by now.
Yeah, they're using some kind of pixel scanning technology was one of them.
I'm assuming what it's doing is it's basically making them change, like refreshing the pixels.
Yeah.
Without necessarily maybe changing the hue by a very small amount.
Oh, okay. So there is some explanation. So
okay.
Two of the things that they're doing is their encapsulation of the pixels significantly reduces oxidization.
Yeah, that oxidation actually is a huge issue with OLED.
And then LG's pixel scanning tech also allows for less energy to be applied to each pixel, while still producing HDR colors.
Interesting.
Which means less power and less burn-in.
And less heat.
Yes.
Which is convenient too. Okay, yeah. Interesting.
All in all, pretty nice. That's a really big deal, not even as much for their mobile devices, but for computer monitors, as we've talked about before.
Yes, yeah.
That's the big thing you need to solve if
because
you're going to have
computers
Windows.
Are always on, generally speaking. Like, my monitor never turns off, and so I can't have a burn-in problem on any display that I have. It's just not acceptable. So,
I guess you want to talk about Intel?
Well, I'm going to talk about EK first.
But Intel's way more important.
Intel's way more important, but we got to keep people around at least for the first 20 minutes of the show. Like, come on.
The two people, us, that are watching?
No, it doesn't count me. So we have one actual person watching us right now, and then we have you watching us.
Yeah. Well, I liked it.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you liking it. So anyway. So yeah, EK Vardar fans. So there's a bunch of new announcements from EK. So in case you guys didn't know, the original EK Vardar fans were were pretty well-renowned fans. They didn't look particularly good, but they were definitely good performing for radiators. There were some things that were a little better when it came to noise, or a little better when it came to static pressure, but they were a good well-rounder for radiators, and overall people were pretty happy with them. But EK has refreshed these, and I actually appreciate this because I always like to see innovation in the fan area because it's a really tough area to innovate in, and so I love seeing companies come out with new stuff. So
Can't
they actually
you just make it faster?
Huh?
Can't you just make it faster?
Well, I mean, that's Noctua's idea with industrial
Yeah.
PPC, man. 6K RPM or whatever. So
No, you need to make it browner. That's Noctua.
okay, that's a good point. Yeah, it needs to be like, hey, can we make this
And made in
uglier? Wait,
China.
how about barf?
And made in China.
Yes, but it's not a problem. We already
I know.
went over that. Okay, so
We didn't go over it on the show, though.
no, we didn't go over it on the
Which we should
show.
later.
Yeah, let's get into that after this.
Yeah.
After this one, before Intel. Keep people around just a little longer, you know. The two people that are maybe watching us. So, yeah. Oddly enough, I don't think I got an email about us going... Oh, no, I got an email about us going live. Okay, good. So, anyway, so these new EK Vardar fans, it's the Evo series of fans, and there's 3 new series that came out. All of them are available in 120mm and 140mm. And all of them are rated for 50,000 hour mean time before failure, which is pretty high for fans. You oftentimes don't see much over 20,000. Although premium fans have gone this high before, but still, I mean, it's really cool to see. But anyway, starting in the lineup here, so we got the Vardar ER Evo, I think, or is it Evo ER? Let me make sure.
Evo ER.
Okay, yes, it's Evo ER. So the Vardar Evo ER is it's kind of a weird abbreviation, actually, but it's their specialized PWM version, and the ER means start-stop. So it must be another language, but but anyway, it means start stop, and basically what these fans are actually capable of doing is, so they're pulse width modulation fans, and they have a range from 25% to 30% or lower on them that actually turns off the fan. So you actually have a trigger section that turns the fan off. So when you're completely sitting idle, like when systems are idling, especially water cooling systems, which is what these are built for, they oftentimes can just have the pump running and they'll be fine. Assuming you have enough radiator space and you don't run into massive like heat soak issues, you don't need the fans running. So you just set at a certain temperature, you know, just like a temperature just above your idle temp, you have the fans turn off completely, and now your system is silent other than the pump, and the pumps have gotten to the point they're almost inaudible, right? So I think this is a cool thing to see. Other than that, there isn't anything huge about them. 2200 RPM for both sizes, 2.16 watts, and you're looking at 33 to 40 decibels. It's dBA, so that's adjusted for the human hearing, so don't compare that to dB on some other fans. But anyway, that is for the 120mm is 33.5, and the 140mm is 40.7. As far as I understand, that's the max dBA. They didn't actually give a specific data sheet saying what like the minimum was, but I know EK is a pretty good company. I would imagine that they listed it as the max, you know, so hopefully. But anyway, still fairly quiet. I mean, 40 isn't particularly quiet, but I mean, assuming you have it turned down, it should be quiet, really pretty quiet. That's the max.
Is it
again.
quiet?
Yeah, I think it's quiet.
Okay, it's
so
quiet. It should be quiet.
Oh man, we ain't gonna get into that. So, and then there's the Vardar Evo S, and what this is, the S stands for silent. So now we're back to English for whatever reason. But they have 120 and 140mm again, both running at 1150 RPM at 0.55 watts. Yes, you heard me right. They're using half watt. So that's pretty impressive, I think. Now, the whole idea is silence, and so we're looking at 23.7 and 26 dBA for the 120 and 140 millimeter respectively. Again, assuming that that's the maximum, that's very quiet for a maximum. A lot of times fans, companies, they'll list like the minimum, you know, so listing the maximum I think is a lot more understandable, and when you have a maximum of something like 26, that's impressive. So I definitely like that. It's just the stream does weird things sometimes, yeah. Now the last one here is one that's interesting to me. So I feel like a lot of these are actually competing with some of Noctua's lines in a way, other than the special PWM feature. So there's the Furious Vardar Evo. So, it's very angry. This is their highest airflow and static pressure model. They did not give static pressure stats that I could find anywhere. But basically what it is sorry, I was looking at your screen. I got distracted. So basically what this here is so it runs at 3,000 RPM for the 120 millimeter and 2,500 RPM for the 140 millimeter. You're looking at 5.6 watts for the 120 millimeter and 9.07 watts for the 140 millimeter. So pretty good power consumption. And so you're looking at 20 fans in it or something. You're looking at like 200 watts for your fans.
Yeah.
And they're not particularly quiet, but you're looking at 42 and 48 CFM for the 120 and 140 millimeter respectively. That is really solid airflow. That's good. So we'll see how they perform on radiators directly, but I'm pretty excited to see all of these. I'm actually really excited for the ER myself, the Evo ER. That looks like a good option for me because I'm building a liquid-cooled system fairly soon, I hope. Wall-mounted one that's going to be for my home theater setup over there. And I was looking for something. I want it to be really quiet because it's right next to my bedroom. So that would be interesting. So I'll definitely be doing a review on those. I got to get a decibel meter, though.
Yeah.
So, okay. Did you want to talk about Noctua a little bit? You know more about this whole Noctua thing than me.
Yeah, so we had mentioned previously on the show that there was Noctua fans. Generally, they were made in Taiwan. And then recently there was a report on Reddit that there was some being made in China as well as Taiwan now.
Right, which we know generally China isn't as good at manufacturing as Taiwan when it comes to computer components.
Yeah. And then what happened with this was a lot of people were thinking that it was performing differently, and that's for a few reasons. For one, there are physical differences along the casing of the fan on the inside. That Noctua says that those physical imprints are designed to help with airflow.
Right.
And so presumably, if they're shaped differently, there would be different amounts of benefit from the airflow.
And we know Noctua does everything they can engineering-wise to push things. So everything on their fans is for a reason.
Yeah. And so with that being said, people were already worried, but then the person that had these fans, he had some Noctua ones and some China ones and some Taiwan ones.
Yes.
And so there was that worry of performance difference. Well, after all this came out and after his basic test showed a bit of a difference with them, people started, kind of freaking out as the internet does. And it came down to, what's the YouTuber's name? Can you try and find the fan test that was done?
Gamers Nexus?
Yeah, Gamers Nexus.
Gamers Nexus does great content, by the way. You guys should subscribe to that.
He got a hold of brand new fans from both sides, and he got some of the fans from the original poster.
Right, yeah, which
so
was cool.
He was able to do tests on all of it.
Yep.
Now, from his testing, everything was really close. Both the China and Taiwan fans were about the same.
Yep.
So there's nothing to worry about there. Everything was within the margin of error. Now, it looks like what may have happened with the original poster and why he saw a bit of a difference was that he got really unlucky in the fact that he got, the peak of the
good ones, yeah.
And then the bottom of
the lowest tolerances,
Yeah.
which probably happens when they're stamping out the plastic parts and doing the molds and stuff like that. They probably slowly degrade, and then they have to they do that with if you're doing printing business cards or something like that. They have to reset the machinery every certain amount of cards. So they probably have to do the same thing for manufacturing fans, especially plastic parts, and because the stamping gets worse over time. So
So he just ended up ultimately getting both sides of the problem, really.
Yeah.
And it made it look worse than it was. It's all within the margin of error. So realistically, nothing to worry about no matter where you get them. That being said, if for some reason you're buying Noctua's fans and you care about color matching,
right.
there is a bit of a difference. The China ones and the Taiwan ones do look noticeably different.
Yep.
So
that's... It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, they couldn't get the same exact pigment in China as they could in Taiwan. So
I guess that's somewhat understandable. It just kind of sucks.
Yeah. But let's be real. If you're buying Noctua's brown fans, you're probably not worried about color.
Yeah. There's truth to that. You gotta buy those and then replace them with the RGB casing. That
so
yes.
that you have a brown fan.
A brown fan with Fantex RGB.
Yes.
We should talk about that a little bit too. But first, I want to show people the Vardars really quick because I keep forgetting I can do screen capture now.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you guys. So these are what the Vardar fans here look like. And basically on the left here is, as far as I understand, that's the original Vardar, what it looked like. Unless that's part of the new lineup, which it maybe is. Maybe this is all part of the new lineup. But then you've got the all-black ones, which is, this was actually something that I was really picky about. I hated gray. Like, the whole idea of water cooling is to look good.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have, something that doesn't match, i.e. not black or white, it gets frustrating. You gotta have lights to do that so you can change the color.
Yeah.
Like, so gray clashes with a lot of people's setups. And then the white I'm really excited for, because I love doing black and white builds, but it's hard to find enough white components oftentimes to really get good contrast. Like, if you have a black case, for example, you don't want, like, a black motherboard and a black GPU and then, like, white fans.
If you get a gray fan or a white fan, you can match them with Razer's new stuff.
This is true.
They finally said, let's do something other than just black.
Yes. So anyway, back to so we wanted to also talk about Fantex RGB fan covers.
Yeah.
So these were quite interesting to me.
While
and
you
something
pulled
I'm
that
excited.
up, one other thing I wanted to mention the pricing
Yeah.
on the Vardars. So for the both the 140 Vardar ER and then the, I don't know which one this is, essentially one of the Vardar Evo 120s are going to be $25 US about.
Okay.
And then the Vardar Evo 120 ER is $20 US.
Right.
Along
Okay.
with the other Furious.
Right. So anyway, I'm trying to find the Fantex stuff for me. Where is it? Because I'm not finding an article on it for some reason. Oh man. Well, I'll just talk about it because I know quite a bit about it. So at CES, but there's some more information out about it now. Fantex released for 120mm and 140mm little fan brackets that would basically turn a non-RGB fan into a RGB ring simulated fan.
Yeah, it's the Halos.
The
series.
Halos, that's right. And they did a pretty dang good job, actually, of making it look like the fan itself was RGB. In fact, to me, it looks almost better than the RGB that comes with a lot of the fans because it looks like the whole area glows evenly because it's placed above the blades rather than shooting into the blades. So you get this really kind of even, like, ghostly glow above it.
I sent you the link so you can
You
pull it up
sent
on
me the
screen.
link. I have the link, guys. So this is an article here by Tech.
I just have the
Power Up.
actual image. Is it not loading for you?
Yeah, it's not liking me.
Okay, I'll send you then the full...
Send me the full link,
forum
bro.
link. Well, it's a forum link. It's not a...
Every day, bro.
Oh my god, no. No. Not allowed.
All right, cool.
You're banned.
I'm not banned. Okay, so
Scroll
here we
down,
go.
scroll
Yeah,
down.
so the picture right here.
Just scroll down. You'll get a better one.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna get a better one. I'm just gonna go over. This is not working very well for me.
That big image, and then you can open it in a new tab, and you can zoom.
Okay, cool. Yes. Okay. This is
click
gonna
on
be
it
a
and it
lot
zooms in.
better. No, I'm gonna zoom in manually. Okay. So switching back here. So this is what the Halos looks like. The Halos Lux. So RGB fan frames. Again, they're RGB, which is a big deal. A lot of times, and I've noticed this that kind of frustrates me. So that Fantex is actually being really innovative and solving a problem that really frustrates me here. Is oftentimes you have fans, the premium nicest fans like the Corsair Magnetic Levitation series, the EK Vardars, Noctua stuff. None of them are RGB or even lit up oftentimes, and it's really frustrating when you're trying to do like a color match build. So this is what the fans end up looking like here, and so this is like right here gives you an example. So these are
He's in the garage.
what the fans look like without the bracket, and then you can see the bracket goes on top of the fan here. They're about this thick. They have a plastic one and a metal one. The metal one looks a little nicer, probably lasts a little longer, but plastic one I think actually blends in a little bit better because it is just black.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the type of build you're going for. My only worry about the metal one would be vibration.
Yeah, that would be a worry too. And so this is compatible with MSI Mystic Light Sync, Asus Aura Sync, and Gigabyte RGB Fusion, meaning it's going to work with all of your motherboards that have the RGB fan headers on them and RGB LED controllers on them. And so you're going to be able to get some pretty awesome lighting effects that sync with everything else on your system.
Actually, I
so
think they're
that's
both
super cool.
metal. Yeah, they're both aluminum.
Are they both aluminum?
Yeah, they're both made from, just says made from a single block of aluminum.
Oh,
near the
interesting.
top,
I thought they were
very first
releasing a
paragraph.
plastic one. Okay, yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah. No, they're both aluminum.
Well,
so yeah,
as
that's
long
pretty
as
nice.
it looks like they might have rubber on the corners, as long as they have something like that to deal with vibration. That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's my concern as well. Is they need
just
to be able
the-
to deal with vibration. So
The base image of just the sides of the frames don't show that, like where you're at. But if you scroll
Yeah.
down to
oh, do you want me? Oh, sorry. I'm putting it back to
scroll-
video. Here, I'll
Oh,
scroll down.
yeah.
All right. Wait.
Scroll all the way down to
Bottom.
this, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like zoom in on these, and then you can kind of see it looks like there's. Zoom out a little more.
Why?
Not on the blue one, because I'm trying to get you to the right fan
Oh,
that I'm
oh.
seeing. The purplish one.
We're trying here. We're trying.
Oh,
here.
you zoomed back up.
Oh, I'm all the way back at the top.
Yeah.
Darn
that
it.
explains it.
Did it again.
Yeah, you're having
I'm sorry,
trouble.
guys. I'm sorry. I
So
suck at this.
If they had some kind of rubber right there,
Okay, yeah,
then it
I
would
see
be
that.
fine.
Yeah, right there is what he's talking
there's
about.
like
guys.
a little bit of a lip.
That
and
looks like that would.
if
yeah.
if it's actually rubber there.
I think that there needs to be some kind of rubber to
Yeah.
help with that. So quite a bit of fan news, actually. That's probably the most fan news in any podcast ever.
Yeah,
We should start a podcast just about fans. Do you like that idea?
just call it for our fans.
For our fans. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it a lot. So anyway, what was I gonna say? It was something about. Oh yes. Stop distracting me, people in the room.
As if you're not already distracted.
What are you talking about?
What?
All right, so we gonna jump into the Intel one, or do you want to do the Galaxy Note 8
Let's
rumors?
talk about Intel.
This is the big story, guys. The big one. More Intel bullshit and fuckery. So that's nice to know. So this is a bunch of rumors about the Intel 300 series of chipsets, along with the Coffee Lake chips. So first off, the official launch for the 8th gen Coffee Lake chips is going to be on August 21st. Obvious response to Ryzen, because the original plan was the very end of the year, next year sometime. As far as I remember them talking about the roadmap. But it's just pretty obvious. They're like, oh, we got to get something out to try and compete. But once again, Intel's doing everything wrong, because this is just, it shows exactly what a company looks like when they're scrambling and they don't know what to do. So everything they're doing is wrong here. So first off, the chips are going to be LGA 1151.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Now we're going into the rumor section. I should make sure the rumor tag is on all of this, but it's very, very, very likely. The specs and stuff that we're going to list off aren't official, but chances of them not being, I think, are very low. It is WCCF Tech this time, but multiple other big news sites talked about it.
Yeah,
So-
there's especially with like the i3 stuff, that was all found. I found that on multiple other sites, much more, or not much more, because I haven't read the WCCF. A lot of detail.
Yeah, correct. So anyway, LGA 1151, but in theory, no or very little backwards compatibility with the 200 series chipsets, so Z270, which is really, really, really frustrating to people, because now they're going to have to adopt a new platform, and this is actually a terrible response to Ryzen. So forcing people to move to a new platform is basically cannibalizing themselves in a sense, because if somebody, say, before Ryzen came out, bought the Kaby Lake stuff, has a Kaby Lake system with let's say 7700K or whatever, right? And they're wanting more power and new chips come out, if they're going to upgrade, they're either going to stick with what they have if they have to change their platform and don't have the money to change the whole platform, but if they have the money to just change CPUs, they would totally do it and switch over to like the 6-core or something like that from Intel, which we'll get to that in a moment. But now they're going to be forced to buy a new platform, and when you have to choose new platform, you have to choose AMD, Intel. You weigh the benefits, and you go, I can get an 8-core that has very close to the same single, core clock speed and stuff like that. Then you're gonna stop it. I'm trying to talk about news here. So anyway, then you're, God, I lost my train of thought. I fucking hate you. You know this, right? Thanks, Alex. Alex, you suck.
Alex is awesome. Hey,
Let's play.
Alex, is there any chance you could get me some water?
In the middle of the live stream.
I'm only asking because I have to
sorry,
drink, I have
guys.
to drink a lot more water
I'm
right now.
sorry, all of our nobody
Thank you very
watching.
much. He's amazing.
The one person watching us left. Thanks, Alex.
Really?
Yes.
No, I left. I closed it.
Oh, you closed it?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, back to this. So basically, if you have to choose between an 8-core and a pretty solid platform for less money versus a 6-core for let's be honest, a pretty great platform when it comes to like what they're the bandwidth on their motherboards through the PCH. You're able to get multiple M.2 SSDs and stuff like that versus X370 from AMD. But when you weigh the pros and cons for what you're doing in that scenario, you're very likely to go with AMD. AMD is the better value right now, and overall, unless you are just gaming and you want the best FPS possible because you have like a 240 hertz monitor or something like that, AMD is the way to go right now. And you know, it's a really bad move on Intel, because if you had the option of upgrade just my CPU, slot in a new CPU, I'm good to go, or upgrade or change entire platforms to go to AMD, you're going to choose CPU only.
Yeah.
But if you got to instead, upgrade your platform either way, you're going to go with whichever one is better for the money at the time. So, a little frustrating and a little bad move on Intel's part there. But anyway, the new chipsets are going to, in theory, be Z370 and Z390. I feel like the 390 is probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the rumor is there might be an actual like Coffee Lake refresh partway through that will update to the Z390 chipset, which if they do that, that would be so stupid. Yeah. And it sounds so stupid that they wouldn't do it, but this is already so stupid that they wouldn't do it. So who knows what's going to happen, right? I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Intel's like, we're not making enough money off our stuff anymore. How do we squeeze more out of people by killing our consumers? So 6-core chips are extremely likely to happen, and I'll get to details on the 6 cores in a second, but we're actually going to start with the i3s, because the i3s are a really interesting scenario right now. So the i3 8100 is going to be a 4-core, 4-thread, so we're looking at quad-core i3s, which I don't think we've ever had quad-core i3s.
We have not. This
is the first quad-core i3s that we've had, so that is a direct response to Ryzen 3, which is AMD's lowest end right now, at least, section of their stuff, and their stuff runs at 4 cores, 4 threads, so that's a direct response to them. But they're also, so that one's actually rumored to be a 65-watt TDP, and be probably on the 200 series chipset, and it'll be a 3.6 gigahertz base frequency. No information given about any boost or anything like that. Then there's the i3 8300, and that'll be a 4-core, 8-thread part, which is even more interesting because now we're having basically i7s.
Yeah.
In the i3 realm, because they want to try and compete with AMD's quad-core, 4-core, 4-thread, so like we'll do a 4-core, 8-thread in the same price range, which tells you, wait a second, so this is basically going to just be an i7, just priced really cheap because, we have to compete now, so we'll just slap the i3 name on it instead, drop a little less cash in there, and we're good to go. So that's going to be running at 4 gigahertz and again a 65-watt TDP. Those are both rumored here. I would be I am not 100% sure about the 4-core 8-thread. I feel like we might just get a 4-core 4-thread, but even so, it's obviously a direct response to Ryzen 3.
I think that if the i5 being 6-core is true, we'll see a 4-core 8-thread because the 4 right now
that's a good point.
They would have 4-core 4-thread to compete with Ryzen 3. If they had 6-core i5, that would compete with the 1600, but they'd have nothing to compete with the base Ryzen 5s. Because the base Ryzen 5s are 4-core 8-thread.
That's a good point. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the i3 maybe
They need
does
something
that.
to compete with the 1300.
They're just basically they're relabeling shit to try and make it look like they're competing and changing prices. And when you relabel, it gives you the option of changing prices without people knowing it as easily. And so that's what they're doing here is, we'll take what we had planned for our i7s and we'll throw the i3 label on them and have a little bit less cash so that you're paying more money to get the cash and the overclocking, and we'll have compete directly with Ryzen 3 because we have to compete with that now. And it's a terrible thing. And the thing is, even if Intel can somehow manage to beat them on price, which I find extremely unlikely, I feel what probably would happen is AMD would just dunk the price more on the Ryzen 3. Yeah. Because that's a huge market area, and even if they have to take a little bit of a loss on each one, even if it's a very small amount, it's enough for them to grab a huge audience. And when you grab that audience, then next time you make sure that you're making at least a little bit of money off of each one, and everybody buys them.
At the earnings report, they pulled a profit.
So. The AMD is pulling a profit. AMD is doing good. When Lisa Su got hired, I remember talking about it on one of our WordCast episodes. I was like, this girl's a genius. She knows what she's doing. She's going to fix AMD. And look at the direction they've been going.
She did fix their CPUs.
Okay, their GPUs are not broken. They're broken for gaming.
Yeah.
Okay, their GPUs are still absolutely awesome. They're just broken for gaming. In theory, at least. We'll see when the actual performance metrics come out. Anyway, continuing down the lineup, so the i3 8350K, so an overclockable i3, which we've had before. We had the 7350K, so this is probably likely. 4-core, 8-thread again, so now this is literally an unlocked i7 with the i3 branding.
Yup.
You know, so we're going from a 2-core, 4-thread overclockable, double both of those. Who knows what the price is going to be, because the thing I'm worried about here is i3's prices are going to start to go up. Unless they stay the same, then it's going to be pretty competitive.
I imagine they're going to be priced a little bit above Ryzen.
Maybe,
as far as pricing,
maybe.
Because Intel, I mean...
Intel wants to have the premium brand recognition, too.
So my guess is we'll see one... It's tough because, like, if let's say they price it $20 above Ryzen 3.
Yeah.
That, above the 1200X, that puts them $15 below the 1300, which is 4 cores, 8 threads. Or the 1300.
Yeah.
So they only have $10 to $20 of wiggle room between Intel or between AMD stuff before they get to the point where you might as well get AMD.
And I wouldn't be surprised if AMD could drop their price a little more just to compete with that. Oh boy, this is a big deal. And it's funny because this is Intel's direct response, and we saw the same thing with X399, which there's some, X299, which there's some news that we need to talk about X299 as well. Don't we forget?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting seeing the way Intel's responding to this. Seems to be all in the wrong way. So anyway,
it's the 8350K, if these are true,
if this is all true, yes,
is only 0.2 gigahertz below the current i7 that you could buy.
Yes. Wait.
The current 7700K. It's 4.2
7700K, yeah, it's 4.2 base, yeah. So 4 gigahertz base on this. Overclockable and a 95 watt TDP on an i3. It's like none of that adds up. The i3...
It's 4 more watts than the current i7.
Yeah, and the thing
less
is...
performance. So either...
they're trying to do more... die shrinking. Well, no, it'd be the same processing node, though. It's just refined, as in, we broke it.
Yeah. Yeah, because they increased wattage and lowered base clock.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And what's frustrating here is they're relabeling i3s, and they're not going to be the cheap thing anymore. And i3s have always been, that's the low end, you get an i3.
I think it's still going to be cheap.
I think it'll still be cheap, but it's not going to be like, people are going to be able to say, I have the i3 8350K, and it's going to be a damn good chip for gaming and stuff like that, you know? So it's just like, come on. And this is, the 8350K is rumored to be on the 200 series, but I'm really, chipsets, but I'm really doubting that we're going to see anything backwards compatible with the 200 series, so I'm just saying that's what the rumors are saying, but don't expect that. Now moving into i5 territory, we've got the i5 8400, it'll be a 6-core, 6-thread, 3.8 gigahertz base, 4 gigahertz boost, and 3.8 gigahertz all-core boost with a 65 watt TDP. All-core boost, you may be asking what that is, and that's what I'm dubbing it. They're just calling it I don't know if this is boost level 2 or whatever they're planning to call it, who knows. But this is ridiculous, guys. So basically what Intel has done here, so Intel's always tried to be the power efficiency winner. And so what Intel has done in the past is they'll have a base clock, a boost clock, which is a clock that either one or a couple cores can progressively get up to for usually a brief period of time, usually not consistently. Sometimes one core can consistently, like say at the boost clock, like say you had 4 gigahertz base, 4.5 boost, like one core could run at 4.5, but then you have 2 cores being pushed that'll run at like 4.3 each, and they'll dynamically scale depending on temperatures and stuff like that. And it was a fairly intelligent way of doing it, and then whenever you weren't doing much, your processor just downclocks down to, half a gigahertz or whatever it needs to save a ton of power. So what Intel's doing here is basically they are subtly admitting that they can't get their power efficiency on track. So the all-core boost is what all cores can consistently run at under boost, but not the base clock. Yeah. So the base clock... Oh, and I labeled this wrong too. It's not 3.8 gigahertz base. 3.8 gigahertz all-core boost. Okay, so
yeah, so essentially it doesn't have a boost.
This one doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, so this one doesn't have an all-core boost, but some of them do have differences, which you'll see in a moment.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this one actually runs at 3.8 gigahertz base, 3.8 gigahertz across all cores for the all-core boost. They're the same level there, and then 4 gigahertz is the single-core boost. But again, there's differences on the other SKUs here, but what I'm getting at is just what they're doing here is basically saying you have your base frequency. This is the frequency that is the base that it runs at to hit the TDP, the power usage that we wanted to look good on paper. And then there's the all core boost of what they actually can do when you need to do work. So literally, they're taking what used to be the base clock, renaming that, and then adding a lower clock on paper to make their TDP look better. And part of the way they have to do is that they have to match the TDP of some of their competing chips from previous times.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because, I mean, if these rumors are all true, then we're looking at essentially no TDP change to add 2 cores.
Yeah.
And the way that they're doing that...
Yeah, is just by bullshitting.
Yes. Like, if we go ahead and do the i5 overclockable one, because that one actually has...
That one actually is a big deal.
Yeah.
So the i5 8600K is going to be a 6-core, 6-thread, again, 3.5 gigahertz base, 4.3 gigahertz boost, and 4.1 gigahertz all-core boost. Meaning, you're looking at less than the single-core boost, but basically that means what this chip would be if it was out now without these new SKUs, and again, or these new terms. And again, this is rumored, so we don't know for sure if they're going to do this, but I have a feeling they will. Basically, this would be a 4.1 gigahertz base, 4.3 gigahertz boost. But they added in this 3.5 gigahertz because, oh, by the way, at 3.5 gigahertz, it uses 95 watts. So we're going to say 3.5 gigahertz is the base, but it won't actually run at 3.5 gigahertz most of the time. That's just what we're going to say on paper. Oh, at 3.5. It's literally saying at 3.5 gigahertz, it'll be this TDP. It's not saying anything about like an actual base clock or what the chip's doing.
Yeah.
If this is true, this is going to make me so mad, and everybody in the community is going to just bite the shit out of Intel.
Especially with how much we've seen, how much a tiny overclock can do to TDP on the i9s.
Yes, correct. There's some issues on the X299 platform where we're seeing TDP scale super exponentially as you overclock. And that's really bad news because there's actually some news that we'll get to after this about Intel, about X299 and the official specs of the i9 lineup, and it's looking really bad, especially if that continues to be true. Anyway, the i7 8700 will be a 6-core, 12-thread. Basically, they just added 2 cores to everything in the lineup. That's basically what they've done here.
Yeah.
They took the lineup, they added 2 cores to everything.
Which, hey, more cores is nice.
Yes,
now,
but it's a terrible way to handle the marketing for it.
Yeah.
You know.
For one thing, a lot of people ask, especially when it comes to, like, i5s are very popular for gaming.
Yes.
Why would I need 6 cores for gaming? PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds just announced that tomorrow, because they just released their patch notes for tomorrow's update.
Yeah.
In that update, we are getting optimization for 6 and above cores. So we're actually starting to see one of the most popular games right now supporting 6 cores and above as far as actual benefit. Yeah,
and it's interesting to see that, although I would still say that I bet you the difference in actual performance, like at the quad core mark, you're probably not going to see much bottlenecking.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, the games that bottleneck the most have been the single or dual core optimized games.
Yeah.
A lot of quad-core games, other than, like, GTA, it's a motherfucker, but a lot of the games that are optimized for quad-core don't have bottlenecking issues, or even above quad-core don't have bottlenecking issues with current GPUs at max settings. But, of course, that all depends also, now that some people are trying to hit 240 hertz, 240 FPS, you're going to need more CPU to be able to handle that.
Yeah. And PlayerUnknown Battleground is already, or has been known to be a very poorly optimized game initially.
It tells you that they've been working on it hard because they came out it's coming out really quick. I'm gonna continue with the lineup and then we can jump into that. So i7 8700 6-core 12-thread, 3.2 gigahertz base, 4.6 gigahertz boost, 4.3 gigahertz all-core boost, 65 watt TDP. So again here, now we're actually seeing Intel almost go backwards on clock speeds. Have you noticed that? Because a lot of times, like, it was really common to see chips really close to 4 gigahertz on their base for desktops, and now we're seeing like 3 gigahertz on the base because they want to hit a certain TDP. It's ridiculous. And then there's the i7 8700K, the top of the line for the assumedly Z370 platform. 6-core, 12-thread, 3.7 gigahertz base, 4.7 gigahertz boost, 4.3 gigahertz all core boost. So it is kind of cool to see super high boost clock there. But yeah, 95 watt and overclockable.
Realistically, we're seeing a point, or we're seeing a 0.6 gigahertz. We're seeing a 0.6 gigahertz boost on all of the cores, meaning they underclocked on both of the overclockable ones, mind you. They downclocked them 0.6 gigahertz to hit their TDP requirement.
Yes.
And then from there, we're seeing from what it should actually be on the i5 a 0.2 and on the i7 a 0.4 gigahertz boost, which isn't actually all that different.
You know, and okay, one thing I will say that interests me here is if they're trying to keep the TDPs the same, that is a little bit of evidence for them maybe planning to put it on the 200 series chipsets. Let me explain. So the 200 series chipsets, certain boards are only built to, like, any board you get on the 200 series chipset, you drop any of the Kaby Lake chips or also the Skylake chips into those boards, and they function at their clock speed, at their given clock speed, right?
Yeah.
And at their given TDP. But there are some boards out there that are really cheap that probably wouldn't be able to handle the overclocking and higher clock speeds and higher TDP. And so they might be doing this for backwards compatibility, as we have to keep the TDP the same so that we don't break really cheap boards when somebody tries to drop a 6-core and a really cheap board.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit of speculation there by me that if they're trying this hard to keep the TDPs the same, if they're doing this and it's not a marketing stunt, basically meaning if they come out and end up being backwards compatibility, meaning it probably wasn't a marketing stunt, it's more than likely, in my eyes, to just make it so that really cheap boards don't get broken. Because imagine how bad it would look as a brand if you buy, a $30 or $40 motherboard and you drop an 8700K in for whatever reason, the one motherfucker that does it, and it burns their board out, know, and then they're mad at Intel because these are supposed to work together. But that's just some speculation there, and if they don't do that, then this is even more ridiculous than we thought.
The other thing that is really just odd about this entire lineup, the i3 overclockable will have more threads than the i5 overclockable.
Which is kind of weird.
And higher clocks. Think about it. 4 cores, 8 threads, and 4 gigahertz base versus 6 cores, 6 threads, and 3.5 base.
So it's less cores but higher clock speeds? Is that what you're saying?
It's more cores and higher clock speeds. Higher base clock speeds.
But we're seeing the same TDP.
More threads and higher base clock speeds, not more cores.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a weird lineup.
It's such a weird lineup. It's so weird. I don't understand. I don't understand what they're doing, and I'm a little bit scared. So let's see. I'm looking for the other Intel, the i9 specs that got released. Top stories, Intel unveils it under... Okay, from Intel Newsroom, so we know this is official, so I'll get to that in a moment, yes. But anyway, yeah, so pretty weird-looking lineup so far. We will see if any of them are backwards compatible with the Z270, which would be really nice. And really good for Intel as a brand recognition thing and as a, supporting their continued, supporting their supporters, supporting their customers would be really good. Because as an example, since they're able to meet the same TDP, you know what that means? I could BIOS update my laptop and throw a 6-core in there. And damn right, I would do it. I would do it to get more performance because I could just throw a 6-core in there.
Would you do it?
I would do it. I would do it. So we'll have to see if it's backwards compatible, and if it ends up being put in a laptop, which I'm assuming it will. Just like, we're going to see, we already are seeing Ryzen 8 cores in laptops. I would totally do it because I still have this machine. I would love more performance out of it. It'd be a really fun project.
Meanwhile, I like laptops you can take with you.
This is true, but look what I have sitting here on the desk.
But you can't play Overwatch at 4K 60 FPS on that.
You can't on that either.
I never said I could. This is a piece of shit.
Okay, this is true.
This cup of water has about as much Overwatch performance as this laptop.
I can play Overwatch at 720p minimum settings at like 50 to 60 FPS. It looks bad, but it is fully playable.
If it looks worse than on console, it's not worth it.
No, because I can do this.
No.
In the car. Wi-Fi hotspot, 600
Oh,
ping.
God.
I'm playing at 720p,
Oh,
sitting there
God.
just like, yeah, I'm your healer, I'm your Anna, and just like missing every shot because everything's delayed.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
No, thank you.
We're just losing all our viewers tonight, man. Nobody's interested in tech news tonight.
Yeah.
It's cool though. People watch it after. It's just nobody's interested in tech news. Okay.
What's a tech news?
News tech?
Oh my god.
New tech news. Hey. Okay. So Intel officially announced specs and basically just every detail about their Core i9 lineup, and so now we have full details about the entire X299 lineup. So I'll start from the bottom, which we already knew, but once we jump above the 10 core is when these are things we didn't know. So, okay, so we're going to have the i5-7640X, which is a Skylake part. It is a quad core part. 4 gigahertz base, 4.2 gigahertz boost 2.0. And did you want to say something?
Yes. Think about how weird this is going to be.
6
when-
cores on the mainstream, quad cores on the max, and so they're just making all these motherboard vendors. Yeah, you just gotta support everything, guys.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it.
Nothing about their lineup makes any
Like,
sense.
all right, so here's these 10 CPUs, and here's these 2 motherboards. Overlap them.
I think the i5 is the Kaby Lake one.
It's Kaby Lake. Sorry,
Yes.
I said Skylake by
Yes.
accident. It's Kaby Lake. It's
Yeah.
Kaby Lake.
But yeah, no, none of their lineup
It just
makes sense.
it doesn't make sense.
You're gonna have
yeah.
i3s with more threads but less cores than the i5. You're gonna have the higher end i5s, the enthusiast ones,
Still with less threads.
cores and less threads.
Then less cores in the mainstream, but get this straight. The i3s on the mainstream will have more threads than the i5 on the high end desktop platform.
Yeah, this is so messed up.
Oh my god. Okay, and you're going to be paying a premium for it too.
Yeah.
Literally a chip that's not as good,
200
and you're going to be paying $242 for it. When I'm guessing the i3 will be like 170, 180.
And it's only 6.
Like, imagine dropping $50 off the price to get 4 more threads, and you get to buy a cheaper motherboard.
Yeah.
And one of the arguments, if Intel had done things right, the argument here would be, oh, well, but yeah, you get, you go up to the i5 on X299, you get all the benefits of X299, except you don't because it doesn't support any of the benefits of X299.
So, if all of the rumors about the mainstream stuff are true, the i5 enthusiast will have less cores, a higher base clock.
Higher base clock?
Yes.
Okay.
A higher base clock. It looks like a lower boost clock.
Yes.
Slightly better memory.
better boost.
Slightly better memory support. The mainstream supports 2400 natively.
Yes,
and
but the
enthusiast
motherboard's
supports
all
2666.
Yeah.
But get this, also, the mainstream will support more PCI lanes. 16 versus rumored 24 on the mainstream.
That's right.
You're paying a premium for
For a
2666
worse
RAM
chip.
support.
Okay, no, you're paying a premium. No,
And
no,
more
check
cash,
this out. Check this out.
and
no,
more cash.
Check this out. You're paying a premium for a worse chip, so that you can pay more money for a motherboard that you can't use.
Yeah.
Like, what? It's actually getting to the point now that not only is it ridiculous, but it's so complicated. It's hard to explain how stupid it is. I don't understand. Okay, let's start moving up in the lineup here, though. So the i7-7740X is another Kaby Lake part, 4.3 gigahertz
The
base.
i3.
Yeah, right. 4.3 gigahertz base, 4.5 gigahertz boost 2.0, and dual channel RAM. So you're looking at 64 gigabytes max RAM. And that's 112 watt TDP. So you actually get lower TDP on the i3, even though it's got more threads.
Well, we don't know because of the all-core boost.
Okay,
what
this
that's
is
gonna
true.
put it at.
This is true. It could be like 160 watt i3. Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I hope these rumors are true, though, because it's really good for AMD.
Yeah.
And, we
it'll
need
be-
some competition.
There's going to be some hilarious videos.
Oh, I know. Like, just the anger that's going to come out of all the tech tubers is going to be so good.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good. Okay, so continuing to move up here. Again, I'll let you guys know once we get to the new stuff that we didn't know the specs about already. But the i7-7800X is a 6-core 12-thread, 3.5 gigahertz base, 4 gigahertz boost, and 28
from
PCI
this
Express
point
lanes.
up, they're all Skylake.
Yes, thank you. They're all Skylake once you go beyond the quad core because
So just remember that the lowest end
No,
ones are the newest processing.
Yeah, no.
the worst
Well,
chips.
that's been a thing for a while. The
I
newest
know.
processing, but no.
But not normally on the enthusiast.
Yes. Well, no. The enthusiast usually is behind by one generation.
Yeah, but no, they don't normally have them split.
Okay.
So
Yes. Right.
You
They
have
don't know.
newer
Yes.
enthusiast chips that are worse, older enthusiast chips or older architecture that's better, and then even newer mainstream stuff that's better than the newest enthusiast.
It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
I don't understand. So actually, let's get this straight here. The 6-core on X299, the high-end desktop platform, right, is going to be Skylake. So whereas the 6-core on the Z370 series is going to be Coffee Lake. You're looking at a 2-generation difference. And
for more cache and for
more
2
PCI
more
Express
channels
lanes
and 4 more
and
PCI
more RAM
lanes.
support. Yeah. And that's another thing about Threadripper and the TR4 socket platform from AMD. I love that name too. Threadripper TR4 socket.
Yeah.
It's great. But anyway, about the TR4 socket series, so X399, you are looking directly at, hey, everything on every board works with every chip. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to go, do I have a 16 lane or a 28 lane or a 44 lane chip? You just go, oh, I can use all the features on this board. Great.
Yep.
You know, so that's
fact,
that was already a problem with just the 2 split. Now we have 3 split.
Yeah. In fact, on Threadripper, they have an 8-core that's pretty much comparable to their mainstream stuff, but just so you can get those extra features.
Exactly. They did it with different dies, 2 separate dies, and had some CCXs disabled.
Yeah.
So that they can specifically get you the more PCI Express lanes and the 8-channel RAM. Or sorry, is it quad channel? It's quad channel RAM.
Yeah, it's quad channel on that, and then
Epic's 8-channel. Yeah. So that you can get all the features of the board with an 8-core, and it's only $50 more. You know, so it's like, geez. Anyway, continuing on here. So again, the rest are Skylake here. We've got the i7-7820X. Which is a 8-core 16-thread at 3.6 GHz base, 4.3 GHz boost 2.0, and 4.5 GHz boost 3.0, called the Boost Max. Now get this straight. Now we have 3 versions of boost if Intel does this new thing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have 2 base and 3 boost. No,
well,
4
they
boost
already are
clocks.
doing this thing.
No, I'm talking about if we add in the rumors.
Oh,
If we add in the rumors about the Z370 series, okay? So get this straight. So we've got 2 different kinds of base clocks. One is to meet our TDP base clock, and the other one is the actual base clock. Okay, then we've got our all-core base clock, which is specifically for the we want to show off our TDP type chips. This is their actual base clock. Then we've got Boost Clock 2.0, which is Boost Clock 2.0. It's basically 1 core can boost to X amount.
Yeah.
Then we have Boost 3.0 on certain chips that attempts to pick the best 2 cores, the most overclockable 2 cores you have, the ones that are the most efficient. Intel does some testing there so that the TDP doesn't change by doing this, and it will boost those 2 cores up to the Boost 3.0 setting, as far as I understand. So we literally have 4 versions of base and boost clocks now. So it's super confusing because when you say base clock, nobody will know what you mean anymore. Oh, do you mean the base clock to hit the TDP, or do you mean the base clock that's actually the base clock? And when you say boost clock, do you mean the all-core boost clock, or do you mean the boost clock 2.0 or the boost clock 3.0?
Yeah.
Or do you mean the boost clock 2.0 on the mainstream that is for 1 core?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. Okay.
I can't wait until all of this is confirmed.
I know.
So that we can see.
I know. And Intel's just like, I mean, AMD's probably just sitting here like, Lisa Sue's probably drinking coffee, reading the news, just like, oh man, we really kicked their ass this time. Okay, so now jumping to the i9-7900X. This is a 10-core, 20-thread, 3.3 GHz base, 4.3 GHz boost 2.0, and 4.5 GHz boost 3.0 with 44 PCI Express lanes and quad channel RAM and 140 watt TDP. Priced at $1,000. We knew all these. Now is where we get into the new stuff, and this is still Skylake. And it gets really fun when I start reading clock speeds, guys.
I will be back.
Okay. Oh boy. So we got the i9-7920X. This is a 12-core, 24-thread chip. Base clock of 2.9 gigahertz Boost 2.0, 4.3 gigahertz, and Boost 3.0, 4.4 gigahertz. 44 PCI Express lanes, quad channel RAM, and 140 watt TDP. So in order to meet their TDP, or potentially because of the massive exponential increase that we've seen in TDP when you start to raise clock speeds on Intel stuff, and these are all using monolithic dies, so keep that in mind. They're not doing what AMD is doing, where you've got multiple dies and then CCXs in the individual dies that are interlinking. This is a one die with this many cores. You don't have Infinity Fabric to link CCXs, which you can have multiple CCXs on a single die, but you also don't have Infinity Fabric to link multiple dies, because Threadripper is dual die and Epic is quad die. So keep that in mind. These are monolithic, so that's part of why Intel's clock speeds are going to start having troubles, is because you're literally getting multiple CPUs, not just multiple cores, which still are kind of a CPU. You're getting multiple actual physical individual CPUs when you go with AMD, to put it simply. They're technically called dies, but to put it simply for some of you. So 2.9 gigahertz base. That's disgusting. Now you've got the i9-7940X, which is a 14-core, 28-thread at 3.1 gigahertz base, 4.3 gigahertz boost, and 4.4 gigahertz boost 3.0, 44 PCI Express lanes, quad channel RAM, and so 165 watt TDP. $1,400. So you're already looking at $400 more than the 16-core. So you can spend $400 less and get the 16-core from AMD. So what I was going over with them is the fun base clocks that we're seeing here.
Oh.
Because we've got the 12-core. Oh, you've got it open. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got the 12-core, right? It's 2.9 gigahertz base. But the 14-core is 3.1 gigahertz based. But the two boosts are the same.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the TDP. It's all to match their TDP. It's all to match the TDP. And of course, these are going to be overclockable, so we could see some major stuff. But also, look at the TDP difference here. Yeah, so we could see some pretty... I have a feeling we're going to see decent overclocking on these, but still. Okay, so anyway, moving up the stack, we've got the i9-7960X, which is going to be a 16-core, 32-thread, competing directly with the 1950X from AMD, which is a 16-core, 32-thread, 2.8 gigahertz base, 4.2 gigahertz boost 2.0, 4.4 gigahertz boost 3.0, again, 44 PCI Express lanes and quad channel memory, and 165 watt TDP. We're below 3 gigahertz now on the high-end desktop platform, which is really frustrating because high-end desktop's all about doing lots of workstation stuff and doing oftentimes things that are single-core based, like gaming, media consumption, whatever it may be. And that has always been what the high-end desktop platform from Intel has been about, is the super big prosumer, so you still need really good single-core performance. And of course, the boost on these is going to help with the single-core performance, but once games, that's already happening, start using more than 2 cores, the boost clocks are going to start to drop drastically, and you're not going to get very good performance anymore. So the single core might be good, but Intel's improving single core on high core count chips at just the wrong time, where things are going to start not using single core as much for gaming, which is the biggest reason we want more single core performance. Yeah. And it's frustrating here, because at this point they're literally just server chips rebranded and unlocked. That's all they are, with maybe slight clock speed changes, right? And that's really frustrating, because if you wanted this, you just go to a server chip. This is Intel's response to Threadripper, because they don't know what to do. And so basically they were just like, well, we'll just grab a couple server chips and rebrand them and unlock them and do some testing to see what clock speeds we can hit. And that's extremely frustrating in my eyes, because they're going to cannibalize the Xeon market now too. Yeah. Because, we can go with the i9s, which are going to be cheaper, still overpriced, but cheaper than the Xeons, and they're literally the same thing at this point.
Yeah. And something else to keep in mind is that, sure, realistically, Intel probably had Threadripper in their hand months before it got released.
Potentially. That does happen.
Usually hardware companies can... It takes years to make new processors.
Yes.
Years.
Yes.
So they're probably working on their proper competitor, but it's not going to be out this year.
It'll probably be the end of next year or beginning of 2019.
Yeah. If they really rush it.
When I buy a Tesla is when we'll have good chips from Intel.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well, one more, guys. The i9-7980XE. Because they had to add another letter to make it more extreme.
Yeah.
So it's the extreme. 2.6 gigahertz base, 4.2 boost 2.0, 4.4 boost 3.0, 44 PCI Express lanes, quad channel memory, 165 watt TDP. So a lot of this is to hit their TDP. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the 7980XE, as an example, I hate saying that now, easily gets up to 3.5 gigahertz on all cores.
Yeah.
But my concern at that point is heat dissipation, because they're not soldering the IHS as far as we know. So we're going to have heat problems with the thermal interface material, as well as VRM problems on the motherboards, as well as power consumption problems, as well as, really bad scalability when it comes to the overclocking. Which that's one thing that I'm actually really impressed with what AMD has been doing, is they're more like, yeah, we can hit pretty high clocks. You can try and push them further, but you probably won't get much out of them. And that tells you that they're pushing them as hard as they can. Intel has always dynamically adjusted clock speeds to fuck over the consumer and get more money. That's what it's always been about. It hasn't been, oh, well, these ones can hit this, and these ones can hit this. These ones are unlocked because they're better ones. They don't do any binning. They don't give a shit. And so, AMD's basically like, yeah, Threadripper is going to hit 4 gigahertz. Cool. Yep. So we're looking, okay, when I first read these here, it's actually when I said the number 2 on some of these base clocks, you didn't mishear me. Because when I first read this, I thought I read 3, not 2. Literally, and then I saw a comment on a post on Google Plus talking about 2.6 gigahertz or something, and I was like, and I had to go back and look at the chart. I was like, what do you mean 2.6 gigahertz? It's running at 3.6 base. It's not that bad. And then I was like, no, we're below 3 gigahertz on high-end desktops.
Wow.
And at this point, it's just it's almost what do we do? Intel's response is scrambling, and that's the worst response because it looks bad to consumers. They should have just left it to the 10 core or the 12 core, and just been okay, good.
Yeah, and then just got their other stuff ready.
Yeah, and waited, because this is just giving them a bad brand, because a very high percentage of people that buy or build their own computers, which is what these are obviously for, same with the mainstream platform, it's oftentimes custom-built stuff or people buying stuff, sometimes businesses, but oftentimes it's people playing games and stuff. They watch review channels like us, or Linus Tech Tips, or Hardware Canucks, or whoever it is. They watch their channels to see the reviews, and when these guys are complaining about Intel repeatedly, they're not going to be picking Intel anymore. And so it's really bad for them as a brand, and it's going to hurt them more even if they are making more chips. It's actually worse for their brand recognition. And that brand recognition is a huge reason why Intel has been successful for a while. And, FX sucked, let's be honest, but a lot of it was people just went with Intel because Intel. And I admit, when I was first getting into computers, I wanted to go. I went with AMD because I didn't have money, but I wanted to go Intel because Intel. And I didn't understand it fully when I was first jumping into it, not a long time ago. But, so this is all it's all a joke at this point.
Yeah. Intel just needs to stop.
Yes.
Take a step back, like AMD did.
Yeah, they need to not panic, because that's the wrong response.
Yeah.
AMD went, oh shit, Bulldozer sucks. And then they're like, well, we'll release some iterations to improve power consumption for laptops, and we'll push some really cool APU stuff with heterogeneous system architecture, but we're going to fucking chill. We're going to go hire Jim Keller, the best fucking CPU architect ever, and we're going to make something cool.
Yeah.
And they took their time.
We haven't even seen Ryzen APUs yet.
No, we haven't, and I'm
That's gonna
so
be
excited
interesting
for
to
those.
see that compete with the i3s.
Yes, because Vega is going to perform better than Intel's integrated graphics, and so we might be entering the realm of the console killer PC market all over again, because we did have that. Shut up. No, well, we did have that back when.
I only say that because while it's not going to hit 4K for every game, Xbox One X is looking like it's going to be 4K,
okay, it's looking really good. But
stuff.
when I say console killer, I mean we might be seeing $300 to $400 PCs, which I know that the Xbox One X is
plus the OS.
$400. Yes, plus the OS, unfortunately. But we're going to be seeing really cheap PCs that get incredibly good performance, probably thanks to APUs. And there was a time with the FX series where you could get an A10 APU. I had one in a laptop, which is a really good use case for them. And I could play any AAA game on medium to high settings.
Yeah. I think what would be absolutely absolutely vital for APUs to really do really well is if they can have an APU with a graphics card built in good enough for base level VR now that VR spec has been dropped.
Yes, totally agree.
Because with on the Rift, with the reprojection technology that they're using to be able to do it at half the performance that they used to at 45 FPS, if you can get into VR with just an APU and then upgrade later, that would do wonders for both the sales of APUs and for the sales of VR. That would be an all-around massive win for the industry.
It would be really good. And the other use case I could see actually for APUs is because GPU acceleration stuff on workstations is getting bigger and bigger. Really budget focused workstations. Like, hey, I do a lot of Photoshop and a lot of maybe I do a little After Effects and a little Premiere, but maybe not a ton. But do a lot of things where the APUs could really help accelerate that.
Yeah. Also, esports games that don't need a lot of performance.
Yes.
To hit 60, and then you can get a graphics card later that gets you up there.
Well, I mean, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if on esports, maybe not Overwatch, but like Rocket League, especially because it'll run on a toaster, even more than League. And League will run on a toaster.
Just because the PS4 gets warm.
Okay, come on now. So anyway, but like League, Dota, Rocket League, maybe Overwatch. I wouldn't be surprised if CS:GO. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing well over 100 FPS with these APUs that'll come out. This is all speculation bias, by the way. No rumors that we've seen yet. Yeah. This is all speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised. And at that point, you're getting like $130 chip that can do all your esports. And if you're an esports gamer, you just throw together a system for $500. You've got perfectly fine esports performance.
If all you do is play Dota, LOL, CS:GO, and some indie games.
And I know some people. That's basically all they play.
A lot of people.
And the thing is, they're still capable of playing the AAAs.
Yeah.
Just if you 90+% of your time, even 80+% of your time is on esports games. There's no reason to get something higher.
Just look at the 1050 Ti. That they straight up just marketed that towards esports.
They did, and it was so successful. Yeah. So successful. So yeah, that's super cool.
I wouldn't doubt if the first APU that's released is straight gaming focused for the esports market.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And because the thing is, oh man, it's exciting. I'm excited to see AMD.
He's getting his AMD hard on.
I'm not an AMD fanboy. I like them as a company better.
Anymore. You used to be.
Okay, I was like 4 years ago.
You want to be again.
No. 4 years ago, I was an AMD fanboy. And that's part of why I knew so much about their architecture back then.
Yeah.
But now I'm very unbiased, but I like AMD better as a company, and when I say that, I don't mean, I prefer them because AMD or anything. They do things to promote open source more. They do things to push the future of computing more and less profit things. They do things that literally make them no money to hopefully do really good things in the realm of computing later down the road, such as heterogeneous system architecture, such as APUs, which they were one of the first to start that kind of thing, which heterogeneous system architecture plays directly into. And so, such as these modular type CPUs is a great idea. They're pushing the industry forward, and that's why I have a preference for AMD over Intel, but I have zero bias when it comes to, the actual performance metrics that we see and stuff like that. But it just feels really good to see the company that I've always thought was better as a company also finally making a good product and being profitable now. That's what I really like to see. So, good on you, AMD.
Good onions?
Yes, and fuck Intel.
Okay.
Cool.
I don't know how you would fuck an entire company.
I know, that's a little bit weird. I don't know,
Meanwhile, Samsung has some SSD news.
Little bit.
We've got a few things. So they've been talking about just for general technology for vertical NAND. Right now they're on I think it's their 7th generation vertical NAND.
I believe that's correct.
And they have formulated a plan, which means they're essentially in the middle of building the 8th generation vertical NAND tech. And they have some level of an idea of how to get to 10th. So they have a plan for at least a few generations of
So we're probably looking at 3 years worth of stuff here. Yeah.
Possibly more. We don't know how long it's going to take.
Depends how long. Yeah, because that sometimes, it's not usually an exactly yearly refresh when it comes to NAND.
Yeah. So. But they've announced, or they've talked about some products, and then some other products got kind of leaked. One of the big things for businesses is they announced a 128 terabyte SAS SSD.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Using-
SSD storage.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really big deal. Now, it's using quad-level cell.
Yes, which would be slower.
Slower, especially when it comes to random reads and writes. Sustained can be still really high on it, though. Yeah.
But one of the benefits is
Still going to be a hard drive.
Yeah. The increased parallelization of something with this many different NAND chips is going to make up for that performance as far as most use cases. I
It's
think.
cool seeing SSDs being able to reach these capacities too.
And
Like,
it's only going to get way higher.
Oh, I know, yeah. And I still think that Hammer hard drives from Seagate are going to have a place for a couple of years, but I don't think they're going to stick around that long.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably part of why Seagate's been taking so long to release those is they're worried about what's going on, so they're probably analyzing the market.
Yeah.
But also keeping in mind being able to get, say, like a 50 terabyte hard drive for $130. That'd be a big deal, or $200. But anyway, back to SSDs. I'm sorry, I'm interjecting because I'm an ass.
Yeah, I know. Yes, you are.
Thank you.
So, 128 terabyte SSD for that.
A SAS SSD,
yes.
in case you didn't say that. Yeah, so you're not looking at like PCIe, NVMe performance or anything like that. You're looking at, what you see out of max SATA performance out of these SSDs. So,
and then they've also talked more about, they've announced this last year, but they talked more about recently their Intel Optane competitor. This is for the Optane-based storage specifically.
It's interesting. It's
because Intel's got a few different things they're doing with Optane.
Yeah.
But this is a direct competitor to their storage. The first device they've announced is a SLC-based drive that has 800 gigabytes of usable capacity. It actually has, I think it's probably 1 terabyte, but then some of it's
1 or
unusable.
1.2 terabytes. Yeah, but then they have to. Well, some of it could just be over provisioning too. Which do you know what over provisioning is? Basically, leaving some in there so when some of the cells die, they can swap over to the other stuff.
Yeah,
which is important for SSD reliability because
yes.
some stuff always does.
And they're not shipping this to general consumers. This is not something you can go buy on Newegg, but select partners are getting it shipped to them starting today.
I'm sure at some point soon somebody will sell one on eBay for like 50 grand.
Yeah,
and somebody will buy it.
Yeah. Unless there's a contract forbidding them from doing so.
From reselling it. There could be a contract for that. Yeah.
And then they said that very soon there's going to be a second gen one, so pretty much the stuff that's getting shipped out now is going to be outdated probably by the end of the year.
Right.
And they're working on MLC based ZNAND. Currently the existing one's SLC, so that'll help.
Yeah, that's a lot better than SLC. Yeah.
So,
interesting.
That'll be who knows when they're going to release consumer stuff. That's really when it's going to be important for us, and we'll talk about it more at that time. But we don't know how this performs. We don't know if it's as good as Intel Optane or better.
Yeah. It's cool to see something that's completely different going up against Intel Optane, though. It's cool to see innovation, but it's not even like it's not a direct copying scenario. It's like here's new tech. More new tech. And SSDs have been in my eyes since they started becoming big, like let's say 6 years ago or 8 years ago maybe, when they started growing really rapidly, is the changes in SSDs, the innovation and the iterations. We have seen so much more in that realm than any other hardware realm in my eyes. Like the amount of changes, the amount of generations we've gone from garbage to mind blowing in a span of 6 years. Yeah, it's really cool. And so every time there's new SSD news out, like it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. It's more and more crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we got
now we'll have SSDs that are too fast, CPUs can't keep up.
Yeah, we've gotten multiple major Samsung announcements just on SSDs in one event.
In fact, I think back when the 750 series SSD came out from Intel, I think somebody put 5 or 6 of them in RAID, in RAID 0.
Yeah.
And they were able to push an 8-core CPU to 100% just running the SSDs.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it was like, we're already at the point where SSDs are faster than CPUs now. And it's cool to see that, because that's going to help with servers.
Yeah.
Server CPU performance, when you got 100 cores accessing a pool of SSDs, you need some pretty insane stuff.
Yeah. And then the other thing was, this wasn't an official announcement from Samsung, but there was something kind of leaked on a lab list. Yeah. It looks like we might be getting 970 and 980 series NVMe SSDs soon.
Which is really interesting. I almost wonder if this is going to be very similar to the 960 series, and it's just going to be like lower price or something.
Mm.
I would love to, because I want to see prices come down, because I need to grab myself a couple of 1 terabyte SSDs, but I've not been. I don't really like the prices that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, $500 is still a little steep for 1 terabyte in my eyes, and so I'm trying to hold out a little longer, but I need to get one soon for editing. So
Yeah,
it's like
SSDs are so expensive right now.
mm-hmm. And I mean, like I was
well,
looking like
so expensive relative to where they were a few, like 6 months ago.
correct, yes,
A
yes.
lot cheaper than where they were a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at $445 current pricing as of time of filming for a 1 terabyte 960 Evo, which is the SSD that I want to go with. And it's just like I was hoping to approach the like really high 300 range when I bought one.
How much is the 960 Pro?
Oh my goodness, we're gonna find out here. This is gonna be scary. The 960 Pro.
Just click on the lower tier one and see if there's an option for it.
I know the 960 Pro goes up to a 2 terabyte. All right, so 1 terabyte is $580. So you're looking at $100 more.
Yeah,
which is not too substantial, but then again,
it's
everything has gone up together, and there is a 2 terabyte, which is super cool for $1,100.
well, that's because it's on sale. Normally,
yes,
it's
it's normal. Yeah, I usually see it for about $1,200.
Yeah,
but but it's I thought this was really cool. This is actually a big deal because any prosumer that needs really large capacity, fast SSD space on a system, particularly X370 with like a Ryzen 8 core, if you don't need more than an 8 core, this 2 terabyte SSD is going to be a really big deal because you can only have one M.2 NVMe SSD on those.
True. Yeah.
And so even though like it sounds silly, $1,200 on that when I'm only spending like $600 on the rest of the computer or whatever, but if that's all you need, you save some money by not going with the higher end platforms and just buy this.
Yeah.
So that is cool. I wish the 960 Evo went up to it because you'd probably be looking at like $950, and that's a little more reasonable. But anyway. SSDs are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Speaking of storage, though.
Yes. So, IBM and I believe Sony worked with
IBM
them.
And Sony.
It was Sony, okay. Released a 330 terabyte tape drive.
Well, they didn't release it.
Okay, sorry. They announced the ability
it.
for it. They've built it, yes. It's possible. 330 terabyte tape drive. Now, some people here might not even know what a tape drive is. So let me show you guys what a tape drive looks like. Let me see if there's a picture in this article here. There is not. Is there a picture? I guess I could go on Google Images. Come on. I want to see what the actual tapes themselves look like.
Oh, I would pull up the article. You won't. I don't think you'll see the actual tapes, but you'll see.
Well, I want to show people what a tape drive looks like. So here, I'm going to switch to this. So wherever this picture came from, that's a tape drive right there. These have been used still today and have been used extensively for a long time for super long-term backup storage. So basically, this is not like your hard drive. Like, this is backup storage where you access this in mission-critical end-of-the-world scenario where everything goes to shit. This is your final frontier backup. So it's
like
not
every few years, not every day.
Right, well, yeah, like oftentimes they'll back up once annually or twice annually on a whole bunch of tape drives, store them somewhere off-site, super safe, and these are like, and they never degrade, even better than hard drives when it comes to degrading on them, and then they can finally, everything goes to shit, like somebody bombs their main data center, they've got the backup somewhere.
Well, and then, I mean, there are some situations where you would have it in-house for just general cold storage where you can deal with the slower speeds for certain applications.
Yes,
like if you watched Linus's video on the supercomputer in Canada, they do have a section that's tape drive cold storage.
Right, and that makes sense. That makes sense, yeah. And, I mean, so the way tape drives work is like a VHS, guys. So it's all stored on a ribbon that's wrapped around 2 reels, like you saw in the image there, and written to and read from. So if you need to get to some data that's on one part of it, you've got to wind the entire tape drive to that spot. So they're really slow access time, not necessarily slow read time. So if you have one big file, you get to the spot, you can pull the data off decently fast. Still not hard drive speed, but it's their seek time is garbage. It's multiple seconds to minutes for, where's the data. So that's why they're used for really long-term backup. But basically, what IBM has done here, again in junction with Sony, they've been able to build a new type of tape drive that is still the basic concept of a tape drive. 330 terabytes in one tape drive.
Yeah, it's using a different tape material, which is the big
Exactly,
difference.
and a different head
Yes.
to read and write to it. It can read and write bits in the 7 nanometer, meaning it can actually the head is capable of changing the magnetic polarity of a 7 nanometer particle on the tape drive. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Now this stuff is going to be probably really expensive at first.
Well, yeah.
And also, from
But
what
the
I
people
remember,
that are buying this type of thing,
they don't care.
probably
They
afford
don't.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
they don't care.
if you need massive amounts of tape drive storage, you just do it.
Exactly. Yes. And the other thing here is so from what I heard, like the actual tape read and write head itself is, I believe, it weighs, like the whole system to actually read and write from this weighs several thousand pounds. So it's not something you're going to be putting in a consumer place. You know, it's they don't seem to have anything about it. That's what I heard. I don't remember. But let's see, their goal here too, it looks like the end goal by this technology might actually be able to, so they're hoping to double the data capacity of their tape drives every 2 years for at least the next decade, meaning by 2027 you'd be looking at 10.5 petabytes on a tape drive.
Yeah.
10 point
Which means they're planning on
10.5 thousand terabytes in your hand.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I want that.
I want that. I need that. I need to back up everything.
You want to back up the internet.
Exactly.
Soon you will actually be able to have from IT Crowd
a backup
the internet
of the
in
internet.
a box.
Yeah. Here's the box. This contains the internet on X date.
Yep.
So what this stuff here is, the big deal here is they can use less tape drives to back up everything. And as data increases, it's really important that we continue with long-term archival storage. And hard drives simply aren't that great for it. Tape drives are really reliable. And so the idea here is you back up annually. You back up, your 50 petabytes on a couple hundred drives. You put them away, locked away somewhere, guarded or whatever, and then next year you back up again.
Yeah. It's also useful for, let's say you are Disney, and
Yes.
you're making movies, and you want video backups of everything.
Right.
Very
That's a good
helpful.
point. That is a good point. Yeah. You want to take all your footage, and you're going to get rid of all the stuff you don't want, but everything is going to be copied over to tape drives first.
How long until we see Linus backing up everything onto tape drives?
Backing up his petabyte project.
Yes.
So, well, I mean, you need 2 of these. He
Yeah.
talked about it on the WAN show, actually. He said, we need 2 of these, because he's like, some of it's for redundancy,
Yeah.
so we wouldn't need the full petabyte.
Yeah.
So, it's like, 660 terabytes, back up everything.
Yep.
But yeah, but this would be great, actually. That's a good point. There's there's a lot of use cases for it other than just super long-term storage, which is the primary use, but
Yeah.
useful for storing, like, here's a bunch of data we'll probably never need, but let's put it here just in case, because we never get rid of data. That's how a lot of big companies operate. They don't delete anything ever.
Yeah.
And so Disney, actually, that is a good example there. You've got so much footage to sort through. You get rid of all the stuff that you probably will never use and don't care about, back it up onto super long-term storage,
Yep.
and hope you never have to go back to it so that you can actually now work with an editable amount of footage, That's a good point.
Yeah.
So,
And I think what's really impressive is the progression of this. So for reference, 11 years ago, 2006, their tape cartridges were able to hold 8 terabytes.
Yeah.
Now they're at 330.
it's a big deal.
It's a lot of storage.
And if you look at, like, their... I like how they do it in number of books.
Yeah.
330 million books. But anyway, if you look at the track width, they're measuring the track width in nanometer now as well. 103 nanometer width tracks. Really, really, really tiny.
Yeah.
I like how I do that, but I literally could never get my fingers that close. But yeah, it's just a big, big, big deal. The tape length has gotten longer, but only by a little bit too. So keep in mind you're looking at probably like 10% longer tapes,
Well,
and you're still seeing from 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're still seeing a massive scaling. You're actually, from 2014 and 2015, you're seeing a reduction of about 20% in
We're
tape
seeing a
length.
reduction in tape length, a slight increase in tape thickness,
which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because that's just it's a new material, so yeah.
And they're saying that while the new material will cost more to manufacture, it will likely be less per. I'll just say less per terabyte in this case.
Yeah. It's so
Less
weird to
per
say. How
terabyte.
many dollars per terabyte?
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, they're expecting less cost per terabyte ultimately for.
I wouldn't be
this new
surprised if
media.
we start seeing a cent per terabyte cost ratio. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be great? 10 cents a terabyte.
Hey, I'd take it.
I'd
Give me
take
an
it.
SSD with that though.
I mean, if these were actually something that at some point consumers could get, I actually probably would buy some for a yearly backup. And by some, I mean one.
One, and that'll handle my backups for like 10 years.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just like, I'll back up my 32 terabyte NAS just once a year.
Yeah,
For
for
10
10 years.
years.
Yeah, and you'd still have some
Just
leftover space.
add on to the tape drive each time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. And be like, good to go. That'd be great. That'd be a good feeling.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever done and duplicates of everything I've ever done year after year are on this little palm-sized thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, you want to jump into some LG news, our last
We already
story.
did that.
Oh, wait, no, we already covered that. I'm an
Yep.
idiot. Is that everything?
Yeah.
And we're done a half hour early? I guess it's okay since nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah! No, I mean, I know a lot of people end up watching the show after the fact, so I appreciate all you guys that do. And I appreciate everybody that watches the show live, because we have several people that usually show up every single time. Probably busy or whatever tonight.
Yeah.
So.
It's also, I know that for a couple of them, it's super late or super early time.
Yeah,
for
I
them,
think one of
so-
them said it's 5 a.m. over
Yeah.
where he is. So I appreciate everybody that generally joins us. This is going to be a consistent weekly thing. We shouldn't be canceling again for a long time. So
Next week. Cancel.
Yeah, right. Next week canceled. As long as you don't have internet issues again.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I guess that's kind
About
of it.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for watching WordCast number 29. Though again, Intel sucks. Nobody likes them. They're garbage. Their CPU division in specific.
Yeah.
But as a company too, they're doing mean things. Come
Mhm.
on, you know, like guys.
Yeah.
But I think
That's
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I don't really have anything else to talk about. So wait, did we talk about the Note 8? Did I ever bring up the Note 8?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Okay, something for a moment. Brief moment. So Galaxy Note 8, as we all know, is going to be an S8, but slightly bigger in a stylus.
Hey, with 3D touch.
But it looks
Maybe.
like we might be seeing actual
That makes
3D touch like Apple has
absolutely no
on the
sense to
entire
me.
Note. Because you have the stylus.
No.
Oh.
Well, that. but
Yeah, that's one reason.
Also, why... I just don't understand Samsung spending the R&D time on 3D touch implementation throughout Android when they could wait till Google does it and then just add to it.
Yeah. And I think what Samsung should do is just have your 3 base buttons, right? Your back, your multitask, and your home button be pressure sensitive.
Yeah.
Just like right now, they just have the home button, and I hate that because I would love if I literally never had to, like, none of my screen space was used up by the buttons. I just push hard on whatever I want to do. You get used to that. You feel like you're pushing a button, but it's built into the screen, and you never have to see your backward button or your home button or anything, so you get access to the whole screen the whole time. And that's actually something that they've kind of tried to do on here, is they make it so it disappears, and you have to swipe up to do back and stuff, but it's a little inconvenient to do that extra thing. And so I'm actually kind of hoping that the Note 8 just has that. If it's just that little bottom bar, that'd be super cool.
I doubt it.
But you're probably right. It'll probably be either just the home button or everything. But if it's everything, at least it could probably do that. So, I mean, I doubt I would use the actual, 3D
I mean,
touch features
realistically, I
all
don't
over.
quite understand the point of 3D touch. I get that it was a big marketing term, and I would have understood if they released it right after the iPhone.
But now it's just kind of like...
There's a lot of Android apps that have the same functionality you get from 3D touch by just holding for a second.
Well, it's not even a second. It's a certain amount of milliseconds, and you're
Like
good to go.
Instagram does it, I think.
They call it a long press. Android's had that forever, and then Apple's finally like, that's a good idea, like 8 years later, but we'll make it so that the screen's force touch so we can make a profit off of, that. I mean, Apple was like, here, well, this adds $10 to the cost of every iPhone, or $5, we'll charge $50 more.
So if you're on the Discover page on Instagram, as an example,
You're gonna get sued.
yes, you can press on and hold something, and just like 3D touch, it pops up.
Yes.
But my Pixel doesn't have 3D touch.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just a long press.
Yeah.
This makes me kind of sad that, like, I like the idea of pressure sensitive screens for specific things, like virtual buttons. but we
Yeah.
don't need it everywhere. Long press has been around forever. It literally works just as good. It's literally a matter of milliseconds difference. You add that all up on all your touches from every phone for your entire life, you might have a couple of minutes difference wasted, you know? It doesn't matter. So anyway, rumored to have 2 cameras. That's been around for a while. Probably 6 gigabytes of RAM, which wouldn't surprise me. The Note has always been about multitasking. And it looks like 64 or 128 gigabyte option, which isn't surprising, of UFS 2.1 storage. As far as I know, if you could check for me, the Galaxy S8 I don't think uses UFS 2.1. I believe it was 2.0, meaning faster.
It uses UFS 2.0. In the S8,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's not 2.1. I don't know what the main differences are here. He's doing a little research here. But I'm hoping it's some speed improvements and some latency improvements that could potentially make the phone feel substantially faster than the S8, even though when it comes to its performance metrics, running probably the Snapdragon 835, the same chip, and the Exynos 8890 or whatever it is from elsewhere other than America, it'll probably genuinely feel faster, even though there's no more CPU power, just because things get accessed quicker. And then other than that, it's basically a Galaxy S8.
Now, this is something interesting. I like that they're spending time on 3D Touch, but Apple's still way ahead of them on storage, because Apple's using straight NVMe on their iPhones.
Yes,
Apple custom
I know, and that is
NVMe
part of why the
controller.
iPhone feels. That's actually a big reason why people say Android phones slow down when they start to get filled up with more data. That's a storage related thing, not a processing related thing. It doesn't mean Android's slowing it down.
Yeah.
It's not related to Android at all. It's related to the storage metrics, and Apple solved that to the point that now their phones never feel like they're going slow.
Yeah, that's one thing Apple's always done right, is the quality of the internals.
They're good at that.
Yeah.
Yes, they're good at that. They charge you an arm and a leg and a kidney for it, but they're good at that.
Yeah.
And that's something that's appreciative, is you can have an iPhone, 7 for let's say 2 years down the road. It'll feel almost as fast as brand new.
Yeah.
Assuming you're using the same apps and everything, of course, but load times and stuff like that, because it's using NVMe. And I still am a little bit confused as to why nobody's done this on the Android front yet. I wonder if it's an Android thing where it doesn't properly support NVMe.
It would just be having to. I think the problem is
Linux supports NVMe.
It would be a matter of making the controller.
Okay.
And since most phone manufacturers don't make most of the hardware in their phone.
They license it all out.
Yeah,
Qualcomm this,
it's
Qualcomm
all a Snapdragon
that,
835.
Qualcomm that, Qualcomm.
The only place I would see it happening is potentially Samsung phones, since Samsung does use Exynos chips.
Yes,
but since they don't do it in the US, they wouldn't want to.
That makes a lot of sense. I bet you if they could do Exynos everywhere, they'd go to NVMe.
Yeah.
I bet you they would. I bet you this is Qualcomm's fault. I bet you they're to blame for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Apple's using some Qualcomm radios and some Intel radios for LTE.
Yes.
But
And
all their chips are Apple in-house chips.
Yeah.
The A9. So I bet you that's it. I bet you you're right about that. I bet you it's Qualcomm's fault that we are not getting as good performance on Android as we should.
Yeah.
God damn it. Monopolies, man.
I'll let them take
Monopolies.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that makes me mad. There was one other bit of phone news. Oh yeah, T-Mobile did a thing.
The 55 plus.
What?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. T-Mobile did 2 things. So for one, minor thing, if you're old, which I don't know why you're watching the show, but awesome. They have announced a new price plan for people 55 years and older.
Oh, okay.
Unlimited everything for 2 lines. Well, I'll do pricing for 1 line first. $50 for 1 line.
Not bad at all.
For 2 lines, $60.
Wow.
And that's taxes and fees included. So just straight
Yeah, so it's just that and the
$60
price of the phone per month.
Yes. For 2 lines, unlimited everything, including LTE.
So you'd be looking at, if you bought 2 super premium phones, like say you both got S8 Pluses,
You'd be looking
at about $120 a month
Yeah.
for 2 people, unlimited everything.
Yep. And if you got 2 like mid-tier phones,
And
like
that's
most
flat,
old
120,
people
yeah.
would, you'd be looking at less than 100.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool. And I appreciate that, because let's be honest too, no offense to old people, not ages here, but if you were to look at statistical data, they tend to use less data.
Mhm.
So it makes sense to give things to them for cheaper, because they're not going to be as big of a burden on the network. They're not going to be using as much. So the other big thing, so a lot of you probably know what Jump On Demand is. You can't still get on it, can
Yes,
you?
you can.
But Not like as a new customer?
I can. I don't know.
I thought they ended
it might
new
have
customer
changed.
signups.
It might have changed with this change.
Okay, maybe so. So T-Mobile Jump on Demand was a program from them that allowed you. This was started last year. You could change your phone 3 times a year.
Now,
Any 3 times a year.
yes. Now, something to mention with this. So most of the time, if you go buy your phone at T-Mobile, you're on installment billing, where you are paying specifically towards.
You
owning
own the phone, and
Yes.
you're paying it off. Yes.
With
Jump on Demand was a
you're leasing.
leasing. Yes, yes. So it was a lease. So T-Mobile still owns the phone, and in that sense too, if you stop paying, they get the phone back. Whereas an installment plan, it'd be harder for them to take it back. So, which not that that's probably the main reason they did it or anything. It's just leasing it helps T-Mobile in a number of ways. But Jump on Demand was a lease program, allowed you to upgrade your phone 3 times a year, any 3 times a year. I've been on it. I got on it as quick as I possibly could. And it's so nice to just be able to, like, at this point, I almost don't have to think about it. I just go in and swap out my phone basically whenever I feel like, there's a new phone, I think it's better, I'm going to go get it.
Yeah.
And they always tell you when you're eligible on the site. Really easy to do. You do pay a difference if the new phone costs more than the old one. So it's just like leasing a car, where you're going to have to pay when you go get the new car still.
And you can't upgrade online.
Correct. Well, you can upgrade over the phone, though. Yes.
Correct, but not online.
But not online. And actually, I think, don't you have to pay some every time? I think they consider your phone devalued some, and you have to pay some.
It depends.
Because when I swapped from the V20 to the S8 Plus,
well,
I
that's
paid
because
like
you're going with a
$160.
top-tier phone.
Yeah, but the V20 was top tier too.
I don't think it was the same, because it's based off of
The MSRP of the phone.
Yes.
Okay. So that's okay. That's probably it. So I could probably trade this to anything cheaper and be like, no problem. Anyway, T-Mobile, the big change here to Jump on Demand. Every 30 days, you can get a new phone.
Yes.
Once a month, you get a new phone.
Yep. So you could be like, you know what? I feel like an iPhone this month, and then you could be like, the S8. I want a bigger phone. Nah, never mind.
Yeah, and it's just like, what? So you literally could get almost every phone Jump on Demand has on their program in 1 year span.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about this, like, it creates a big used phone and refurbished phone market, which can be sold on eBay, through Best Buy, whatever. T-Mobile can get reimbursed that way. So it's going to actually help with people that want to buy, their phone outright, but maybe only want to pay $600 for an $800 phone. But it's really good for us because we get new phones whenever we want. It's to the point now I literally don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I just go, new phone. And new phone. And so if I want to now, because that's
it's January 1st, new phone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's February 1st,
exactly.
new phone.
And so my thing is, it's been, for me, like, it's not that I haven't really had to think about when I want to upgrade. I just had to go, I can't risk going to a potentially, like, lower end one or something.
I have a potential con I want to add in of increasing the demand.
Go ahead.
of phones.
Come on.
Yeah.
What's
So,
up?
This might be an
You're welcome,
alternative
you're welcome to
talking
come
point.
in. You're
Hello,
welcome
guys.
to come in.
I'm-
This is Alex.
I'm in the Let's Play.
He's on the gaming channel, linked in the description.
Right. So a potential con I wanted to talk about, because I'm very into, I like technology stuff, but I'm very into the environmental portion of it. This is an alternative point. This is a talking point, really, to discuss later. But there is...
Your head is out of frame, by the way.
Oh, I'm going to get in the frame a little better.
Yeah.
So a potential con of having this buy a new phone. Oftentimes, yes, you can sell them for a cheaper price, right? A lot of phones after a while get exported to places like Africa, where in China and places like that, where it's illegal to give them broken phones or old phones, but it's legal to give them refurbished phones, and then they I was actually reading about this. It creates a lot of like these toxic chemical compounds.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff in phones. So, well, that's true. First off, they obviously don't just throw them away, but we already knew that. They try and resell them and stuff like that.
Or they do things like burn them. They burn the phone.
Well,
So that's
T-Mobile's
something-
taking
so-
the point of these programs is generally to
T-Mobile
resell
gets
them
the
'cause
garbage and deals with it
It
properly.
wouldn't be financially worth it because they still have to buy the phone from the manufacturer, so they're still out a lot of money.
So they have to make money back somehow.
Cell
on
phone
it.
carriers
Yeah.
don't make a lot of profit off of the phone itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And
they
then
may
for
be.
what
I
it's
wonder if
worth.
T-Mobile's doing their own recycling for it,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, I mean, not like their own, but I mean like hiring a third party
Yeah.
for them specifically
There's-
to do
there's-
proper
they-
recycling.
there's
You
a lot
can
of-
get
goes
all the
through
good
their-
stuff out of
There's
it.
more gold. You can harvest. I think it was like more gold from a ton of phones than you can from a ton of gold ore.
Yeah, correct. There's gold, there's silver, there's copper. and there's all kinds of other things in there that you can pull out of it. So
yeah, I just wanted to bring
hopefully
that.
It's dealt with
dimension.
correctly. Yeah,
I just wanted to bring the other dimension into it, so I'm gonna head off again. See you later, guys.
We love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that there is the potential for that, but I think I'm just excited because I get a new phone whenever I want. Like I was considering, for example, getting the Moto Z2 Force to try it out, but I was like, I probably won't like it more than the S8. But I could go in, get one, try it for a month, review it, be like, nah, it's not as good. Go back, get an S8, wait for the Note 8, go get a Note 8. You know, it's just
this is fantastic for reviewers.
It really is. In fact, it almost feels like T-Mobile was like, hey, you guys like to review phones, right? Well, here you go. Because, I mean, it's like you can test every flagship phone. Yeah. You know, I mean, of course, that does, if it gets on Jump On Demand, which the main flagships like the iPhone and Motorola phones and LG phones and Samsungs get on it, and HTCs. Although that's been a little bit iffy on the HTC front. Obviously, you couldn't get things
Where's
from like
my
OnePlus.
Windows phone?
I thought Windows Phone's been over for a long time.
Where's my goddamn Zoom?
Why is the stream so late? Jordan's asking us. Yes, we are American. We are here in Oregon. So that is why the stream is so late. It is only 10:49 p.m. here right now. But thank you much for joining in at the mostly end of the show. But we still appreciate it. Where are you from? Yeah, where are you from, Jordan? I'm curious. But yeah, we do it. It's still fairly like, it's like nighttime here when we do it still. We start at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So that's just what works out best for us because we both work days. So we started at night because the evening we're doing other stuff and preparing for it. So curious to know where you're from, though. I'll wait a moment for a response before we stop the stream because we just finished all of our news. But if you have any questions or anything, you are totally welcome to ask them because we technically have 10 more minutes before we usually turn off the stream. So I'm going to sit here and try and find something interesting to talk about while we wait a moment because it looks like you're still watching us. Let's see. Are there interesting things in the news today?
Intel announced a ruler SSD, a really long SSD that's designed for servers. The idea is to make, what was it, a petabyte in a really small, in a 1U form factor.
Which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Because currently, with current tech, it takes, I think it takes a 4, with hard drives, it takes a 4U.
To make a petabyte. Yeah, I believe that's correct, yeah.
So
that's a big deal. A petabyte in 1U. That is big for servers, actually. That is.
That's massive.
Server storage density, like physical size density, matters a lot with servers. So, yeah. Let's see. It looks like there's a deal on something right now. Let's check this out.
Oh, God.
It is something that I definitely need. But I don't want to go to and get this deal at this site link. So I'm going to just look up on Amazon to see if it's on sale. It's not on sale. So I'm just going to ignore that. All right.
That was fun.
That was really fun. See, all the good news comes out the morning after our live stream.
Yeah, usually.
Let's see. I'm looking for things, guys, but I'm worried Jordan's not going to respond to us.
I don't think so.
I'm starting to feel. A Galaxy S8 Active is coming out, which we already knew. No, it's not new. We already knew about that.
We saw pictures of it a while back.
Yeah, but there's some spec comparison here.
Probably
the same thing, but I'm curious. So it's the same size screen, but it's not curved. Same size as the S8, 5.8 inches. So it is 2560 by 1440, not 2960 by 1440. So it's gonna have a lower PPI, actually. That's interesting. And a slightly lower screen to body ratio, 81.5% versus 83.6%. IP68 certified, of course, but also MIL STD 810G compliant mil spec. So salt, dust, humidity, rain, vibration, solar radiation, transport, and thermal shock resistant. Basically meaning, hey, you won't break it. And that's the only real change.
Yeah,
Bluetooth 5.1.
Probably going to only be on AT&T.
So Bluetooth 5.1 instead of 5.0. So it actually does have a Bluetooth upgrade.
Windows 5.1.
And a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. See, and if I was on AT&T, I would get this. But I don't want to be on AT&T because I can't get a new phone every 30 days.
I don't think that Bluetooth 5.1 is real.
It might have been a mistype then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's the end of the stream, everybody. Thank you, anybody that joined in. It was a little lacking this time, but that happens. But thank you to anybody that watched after the fact. Definitely leave some comments. I'll be looking out for those to try and answer some questions and stuff like that. So I'd love to see your comments. Let us know what you think of the stream. You know what I just realized? We have not touched the Twitch stream this entire time. Maybe we have some comments over there somehow. You guys are probably going to hear some feedback in a moment, but I'm going to try and mute it as fast as I can. Mute. I said mute. Mute.
It won't show you comments that were already posted.
Oh, that's right.
It's live comments only.
Okay, well,
So
I'm sorry, everybody on Twitch, if I missed it. Which it looks like we did miss 2 people on Twitch.
well, I had loaded up Twitch.
Oh, okay. So
So-
we missed 1 person on Twitch,
Yeah.
maybe. All right, but did you just close it?
Huh?
Did you close yours?
Yeah.
Okay.